Hi, this is Sensei James Leonelli from Sensei's Weekly Mindset, and I'm here to talk to you about betonline.net. Betonline.net is your #1 source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball, soccer, and esports. Don't forget my personal favorite, MMA. We've got it all on betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, we can help you find those on BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. And don't forget BetOnline for NHL, boxing, golf, and like I said, my personal favorite, the sport of MMA. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Life isn't always easy, and you don't have to face it alone. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you have access to a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of needs. To get started, you simply answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's most convenient for you. The best part is, if your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom-picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at a more affordable price, all from the comfort at home. To start your journey and to get 10% off of your first month, go to betterhelp.com/sensei. That's betterhelp.com/sensei. BetterHelp, you deserve to be happy. Hi guys, Sensei James Leonelli here to talk to you about another one of our sponsors, LMNT. An electrolyte drink mix. Each one of these little packets gives you exactly what you need to keep you as hydrated as all us athletes like to be. If you're like me, you work out a lot, and when you work out a lot, you also sweat a lot. Now, when we sweat, we don't lose just water, of course. We also sweat out salt. We sweat out electrolytes. So each one of these packets contains 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium, giving you everything that you need in order to maintain optimal hydration and nothing that you don't. So to go online, place an order for your sample pack, and to get yourself a bonus free sample pack, you're going to go to this website right here, elementallabs.refr.cc/James Leonelli. You're going to see this down in the video below, but I'll say it one more time for you. elementallabs.refr.cc/James Leonelli. Again, it's a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing that you don't. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Sensei's Weekly Mindset. I'm Sensei James Leonelli, owner and head instructor of Tiger Schulman's here in Smithtown. Once again, I am back in my home recording space, ready to give you guys this week's food for thought. I'm wearing, as you can see, the Everyday We Train line. I love these shirts. I really do. They're the majority of my wardrobe, quite honestly. I got to wear another one in what I'll talk to you guys about in a little while. But again, this is all available on tiegear.com, the Street Style collection, the Everyday We Train collection, all available there. There's a whole bunch of great apparel to wear off the mat, as well as all the great uniforms and gear you can use on the mat. So, as we prepare for this week's mindset, I'll talk about what we did this weekend and some of the lessons learned and why I think certain things are such a valuable experience. So, this past weekend was a tournament called NAGA, the North American Grapplers Association. And it was right here on Long Island. It was only about a 40-minute drive for us, which is, as far as tournaments go, can't ask for much, much better than that. And NAGA is one of the biggest and most well-respected tournaments in the jiu-jitsu world. At least it had been for a very, very, very long time. And it comes from their lineage. They're one of the oldest tournaments. All right, they are a tournament that has been around for 25 years. I remember and this is really dating myself here, when NAGA was like first getting big, and I was in college at that point, and I was asked to interview someone who was involved in like some kind of sporting business, and I forget the exact project, but I reached out to Kip Kohler, who is the head of NAGA, and I said, hey, I'm going to be at this tournament on this day. Can I sit down with you for a few minutes for a college project? And he was like, yeah, 100%. Took time away from the tournament, sat down with me. I interviewed him. I got an A on the paper, so that was great. But NAGA's been around forever. Like any grappler, any martial artist who you know who's done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, who's competed in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, has probably competed in NAGA. Like I said, it is one of the biggest and most well-respected tournaments in all of Jiu-Jitsu. And it's one of the oldest. It's been around for forever. Like these tournaments used to be enormous. Like they had to be multiple days because there were so many people, so they could only run certain divisions per day. Like literally, they would start at like 9 in the morning and they wouldn't be over till like 10 or 11 at night. Like that kind of crazy tournament, and 2 days too. Like it was just a huge day. And it's a reasonable rule set. They both do they do gi jiu-jitsu and no gi jiu-jitsu. They use advantages, which in the world of jiu-jitsu, not something I absolutely love. Advantage points are basically like I attempted something, so I get an advantage point. It's not like an actual point on the scoreboard, but in the event of a draw, whoever has more advantage points can win. So what did happen to sport jiu-jitsu of that type for a while is things became very like it mattered more that you won than how you won. So a lot of people would just come out and they would just pull guard and they'd pull you into guard, and then they'd hold on to you really tight for the however 2 or 3 minutes, whatever it is. They'd sit up, attempt to hip bump sweep, and then because they attempted, they got an advantage point, and then they'd go back to just clamping down and holding you for the rest of the time, and then they'd win by advantage. So that did happen in the sport for a while, but it has gone back in the other direction. Nonetheless, NAGA, the thing that works against NAGA now is NAGA used to be the only show. Like literally, when NAGA came around, you went, and you went not because you were going to compete, not because you love to compete, but you went because if you didn't compete then, you wouldn't have another chance to compete in jiu-jitsu for like 3, maybe 6 months, depending on when they were getting back in your general area, because NAGA puts on a tremendous amount of shows all over the country, all over the world, every single weekend. They put on almost as many shows as the UFC does. It's kind of crazy. Nonetheless, NAGA has been affected now by the fact that there are so many more grappling tournaments. There's so many more, right? And now because there's a grappling tournament over almost every weekend in your area, it's a little harder for them to get people there like they did. Tournament much smaller than it used to be, but only simply because of supply and demand. There's so much more supply now. But nonetheless, I took the kids, and I took a couple of kids from my school. I wanted to get more people from my school, but it's a rough weekend. It's the weekend before Labor Day, so last weekend, real weekend of summer. People were busy, people were away, people on vacation. There's a couple people that I think would have been more a part of it had they not been on vacation or so forth. But nonetheless, I went with my handful of kids, and there was a bunch of Tiger Showman's people there, and it was nice. So got there reasonably early, and the kids were relaxed as could be. Riley was one of the first matches of the day. She had another young man from the one of the Queens Tiger Shulman schools, and little Christopher came out. He was a gamer. I think it was his first tournament ever, which was good. Like it was a nice small little venue, much smaller than our Challenge Champions. He got to go out and compete and have some fun, and everybody was cheering. It was great because like we kind of had like a little, I'm close with the instructor from this other school, so we kind of had like a little bit of a gentleman's agreement, like, we're not really going to like coach against the other kid. We're going to cheer our kids on, yay, go, don't quit, that kind of stuff, and, pump them all up and, all that kind of stuff, but we're not going to like coach against, like you would for a coach, you would against a kid from another school. So they went out, they had fun. Riley had an absolute blast, and she won pretty decisively too. Riley's she really now understands how to win in tournaments, and the fear of tournaments is really kind of gone, that's to me the best part. And it was funny because she was humming and hawing about like, I don't know if I want to do this tournament, and then I was like, well, I read that all kids under 13 who win first place in their division get a title belt, She goes, what? I get a title belt? I said, yeah. So she went, she won herself a little title belt, and she was on top of the world. She was wearing that thing like all get out. And she still is. It's funny. Now it's like sitting in the living room, like, are we going to put it in your mat? She goes, no, I want everybody to be able to see it. It fits. It's like a tiny little one, so it fits around her perfect. It's very cute. And she has an absolute blast with it. And we've been busting her chops. Oh, the champ is here. The champ is here. Kai went out. He competed as well. He competed very shortly after her, literally the next ring over, so it was very convenient. We went, and Kai was in there with one of the other kids from our school. He was on the other end of the bracket, so both of them had another match, and then depending on what happened, they would either compete against the kid who beat their teammate, or they would compete with their teammate for a medal. So they went out, and Jackson was a young man from my school. Shot a takedown, very committed to it. When he kind of found himself running out of the ring, wound up pulling guard, which I wouldn't have done in his shoes. I got to work on. It was one of those things that, looking back, like, hey, bud, this is where you made your mistake. But that's okay. He learned from it. He defended well from the bottom for a while. Eventually, the kid was able to secure an arm and submit Jackson. Kai went out, and he was matched up with a young lady. And Kai fell victim a tournament a short while ago, where he went out, saw his opponent, and kind of underestimated him real quick. Like, oh, that's a little kid. I'll mess this kid up. And then the kid messed him up. And now I told Kai, like, as he walked around, like, take it serious. Take it serious. And I happen to know one of the coaches of the other kid, because the other kid comes from Legends Martial Arts, which one of our Flex Fights champions came from. I know the guy well. He was there. One of those just great human beings to talk to. I had a great conversation with him before the day went on, and then we had a great conversation after. Kai went to set up a takedown, and the other person, Sam was her name, she went on defense really, really well, using her hands to fight and keep defense well. Eventually, Kai goes for a takedown, didn't clear the hand super well, got his head caught in a guillotine. And he fought well, like he did a good job of trying to fight his head out as best as he could, but she had it really secured, and it was on pretty quick. Like it was on secure very quickly, and I thought the match was over, like basically going to hit the mat. But then he was fighting through, and I was coaching him as best I could, and he was trying as best he could, but this choke was tight, and eventually he was forced to tap, which was the first time that Kai had ever been submitted in a tournament, and that hit him kind of hard. He was definitely on like cloud nine for a minute, the bad side of cloud nine for a minute. But Nick, the Flex Fights champion, who I know well, who's the other girl's coach, came over, and he was like hugging Kai. Oh man, you're so tough. You hung on for so long. And he really like lifted Kai's spirits, which was great, because then Kai's big thing is, I don't want to go out and compete against Jackson. I train with Jackson almost every class. Like, we train together all the time. I don't want to win or lose versus him. I said to him, like, listen, you're not going to compete against Jackson unless it's for a medal. So if you got to compete against somebody for a medal, why not? If you have to compete against your best friend or one of your best friends, why not let it be for a medal? He's like, all right, I guess. And they went out and they competed. And it's funny that in NAGA, you're allowed to coach, so there's a seat for each coach. And they were looking for a coach for Jackson. And they were like, where's Jackson's coach? I'm like, I'm Jackson's coach too. They're like, oh, okay. And I just look at the boys and I'm like, boys, if anybody gets the schoolyard headlock, you're both doing 50 push-ups on the mat right after the match. They're like, okay. And they go out and they compete. And Kai eventually gets a nice takedown. And they're working well. Jackson's showing some real good defense in the bottom, fighting Kai's hands off well. And they know each other so well. Eventually, Kai is able to secure a submission and gets the tap. And they hugged it out afterwards. They're taking pictures. They're both wearing the medal at the same time. They were really good spirits about it, which is exactly what I love to see. Speaking of things that I love convenience. That's one of my favorite things in the whole world. I was accused recently by one of the other Tiger Show owners, oh, you love technology. I said, no, I love things that are convenient. So one of the most convenient things that you have is subscriptions. And several of our sponsors offer subscriptions, and I have subscriptions from several of them. So I've chosen a subscription with Magic Mind because the delivery process is so simple. When things are automated and you don't have to think about them, I love it so much more that way. Like, I put as many of my bills on automatic payment as possible. Might as well do the same thing with something as healthy as Magic Mind. Right? Knowing that it's there, knowing that I don't have to worry about when it's going to get there, knowing that it's going to happen every single month. I'm going to have my Magic Mind, and it makes it easier to do things on a long term. We know habits take 3 weeks to build. Well, if you have to remember, oh man, I got to order this thing again, it's such a pain in the butt. But when you have a subscription about something like Magic Mind, where the shipping is free, where they deliver it every single month, where the cancellation process is so easy, where there's 100% money back guarantee, when those things are in your favor for a subscription, it just makes life easier. And again, it's something as healthy and great for your mind as Magic Mind. So I love that I love every day when or every month I should say, when I get the email, your subscription's out for delivery, right? And there's 15 bottle cases, there's 30 bottle cases. You can take one per day or one every other day, depending on how much you need to get done, right? Like if you want to get those synapses firing in your brain, you might want one a day. So if you used my trial code before to get your discount code to get a trial before, you can use that same discount code now to get a subscription. I have a 20% off discount code available for everybody. It works for people who did the trial before and for existing subscribers as well. So you're going to get 20% off both for one-time purchases and up to 48% off if you choose a subscription. If you get a subscription, it stacks the subscription discount from the website to get it for less than $3 a bottle. So you're going to get your Magic Mind by going to magicmind.com/SenseiWM. There, you're going to use, if you want that 48% off, you're going to use the discount code SENSEIWM20. Again, that's magicmind.com/SenseiWM. And to get that 48% discount when you get their subscription, SenseiWM20 is your discount code. Get your Magic Mind. Get that subscription. Make it super easy. Now, back to the day at NAGA. Later on in the day, I had one of my teenagers compete, a young woman by the name of Ariana, and Ariana wrestles. She competes for us all the time, and she is a gamer. Ariana had a tough challenge ahead of her. She's 16 years old. She was weighing in at like the 140s, and she got bumped up to the 150s or 60s or so. And she got bumped up with adults because they didn't have anybody for her to compete with. So that's a tall task. You're 16 years old. You're going to go out and compete against full-grown women, and you're going to do it at a higher weight class too. That's a rough day. Apparently not for Ariane. Apparently she didn't get the memo. And she went out and she had some game opponents. Her first opponent, caught Ari off balance with a sweep. Ari's got very good base, very good balance, and she scrambles exceptionally well. And Ari, like I said, did not get the memo that this was supposed to be a challenge for her. She went out and even after she got a takedown, the girl got back to guard. She recovered back to top. Once she got top, she sat down in side control, and she was trying to rush things a little bit. When she came back after the first match, I'm like, okay, these are the things we're going to do better. If I say this, it means this. If I say this, it means this. Not like, code words or anything, but like when I say this, what I'm looking for you specifically to do is this. And then she went against the person who won another match earlier, another like full-grown woman, like 10 years older than her, strong. And Ari goes out, and I knew the coach of the other girl. As a matter of fact, her school is very local to our house. One of her coaches, one of the wrestling coaches at her gym, is Kai's gym teacher. So it was very fitting. Kai's there cheering for Ariana, and his gym teacher standing behind him cheering for the other girl. So it was definitely quite a cool experience. But Ari, she took the girl down. The only time she really lost position is she went for a submission attempt, had what's called a triangle choke, and it was pretty good and pretty tight. And I give the girl such credit for getting out of it because Ari had it tight. It was deep, and Ari's strong. So she's gonna tap just about anybody with that. And eventually the girl scrambled out of it. She threw a leg lock attempt at Ari. Ari has crazy flexibility and just kind of shucked it off like it was nothing twice in a row, as a matter of fact. And then she went in the match by a double-digit margin. And super gracious in victory, as Ari always is. She's just super gracious. She's a great kid. Really great kid. Comes from a great family. And just super, super confident. All sorts of bubbly. And before they came early, her family came early because she loves Riley and she got to watch Riley compete. And they went on a little warm-up mat, and she's showing Riley all sorts of cool things like, bridging and running the bridge in a circle and stuff like that. And oh my gosh, Riley just ate that up, and she was showing off for us and everything. But it was a great day of competition, and it just reminded me yet again how important competition is. As we were driving to this particular tournament, we did the Valhalla show back in July. I noticed on Valhalla's social media they had published the videos for the kids who competed at Valhalla, and it was a great little video they put together. Really cool, really cool. The kids ate it up. But it just reminded me how important competition is and how competition mitigates fear. Now, what do I mean by mitigate fear? Because it's not like someone isn't afraid to compete, because they certainly are. You're going to step out on the mat. You're going to get the butterflies in your stomach. I don't care who you are, right? One of the people I saw there was a pro kickboxer from Flex Fight, Sergio Rivera. Love Sergio, great dude. But he went out to compete. And Sergio's got like 15 amateur fights, something like that, if I'm doing my math quick in my head correctly. And then now 2 pro kickboxing fights. Who knows how many jiu-jitsu tournaments this guy's been under the lights so many times, but yet he's still going out there to compete because he knows how valuable the experience is. And that experience of going and doing is so valuable. And I'm seeing it in my kids, in Kai and Riley, so much because what's happening is their martial arts is growing by leaps and bounds. Physically. Just physically, their martial arts is growing by leaps and bounds. But what's happening to them psychologically is the more important part, in my opinion. And it's why I send parent after parent after parent to go and do any tournament that I can send them to. There's another tournament coming up in September. I'm going to see who wants to go to that. I won't be able to go to it because it's the same day as the Flex Fights, and we're not going to be able to manage doing a tournament all day and then be getting to Flex Fights. It's just not going to work out. That's okay. I might see some of my real gamer competitors want to go. But nonetheless, I think it's such a valuable experience for kids to be able to go and do. I think it's very, very, very important. And the results are speaking for themselves in terms of the character that it does, what character building it does for these children. Not physically. Physically, yes, benefits are great, right? Like both of my kids got to see, because Riley did eventually do a match later on with another sensei's daughter who was much smaller, but she got the best of Riley, and it was a nice little wake-up call. It was nice because both kids got a little like light bulb moment of, oh, these are my weaknesses. But also, more importantly, not only is that kind of physical benefit in terms of their skills, but more importantly, what it's doing in terms of their confidence and their fear of being under the lights is tremendous. The more a person is exposed to being under the lights, being on a stage like that, so to speak, what it does for that person's ability to mitigate fear is tremendous. It does amazing things for them, and it makes sure that they're not afraid of confrontation. Because confrontation is bad enough. But when there's a date on the calendar for the confrontation where you know, okay, on this date, I'm going to confront this person. I'm going to have a physical confrontation with this person. And this entire time, they're training to kick my butt. Right? That is a much, much scarier thing than getting into a random self-defense situation. Right? Like, these kids aren't going to be afraid of that schoolyard bully because they've been used to nerves that build up over days and days and days and days and days. They're used to going to sleep the night before a tournament and having the butterflies in their stomach. Like, oh man, who's going to be in my division? How many kids? Are they going to be good? What am I going to do if they do this? And like that wonder that's going to be in their mind. They've already experienced that with so many tournaments now. Like this is, I was counting, and this is like Riley's like 4th tournament already in about a year of training. And man, the fact that she's competed that many times is such an experience, because not only did she have 4 matches, right? She had multiple matches at NAGA. She had multiple matches at both COCs. So she's done this, she's had this experience so many times at just freshly 7 years old. Now she's going to move on to other areas of her martial arts training, right? And she'll compete even more, which is great. But more importantly, now if she has to give a report in front of the school, if she goes in front of her class and she's got to read her book report, is she going to be afraid that the little bully over there is going to say something mean to her when she messes up a word? No, she's not worried about it at all. Is she worried about the bigger kid pushing her on the playground? No, because she's beat bigger kids before, right? Is she going to be worried about any of those things in school? More importantly, as she grows up and she becomes an adult woman, is she going to have to worry about a man following her? Is she going to have to worry about a man who's going to maybe put his hands on her? I don't think she's going to have to worry about any of that, because she has no fear of confrontation. She's now, I mean, that fear is basically gone, right? Now, if there ever needed to be a self-defense confrontation, it wouldn't be intimidating. It wouldn't be scary, right? Especially when she so quickly got into the dominant position she knows how to get to, because she can. She can get there so quickly, so easily, and hold someone there so effectively. And the same goes for Kai, right? Kai is entering those years where the testosterone is going to start to flood him and his buddies' bodies, and all the kids in school too. And this is where guys are going to have that little head buddy kind of, the ram to see who's the bigger and stronger ram kind of interactions. And again, every kid goes through that. Every male goes through that in their life, where the testosterone floods their body, and essentially they're on steroids. And sure, it's their body creating it, but still, effectively, they're on steroids. And when you think about steroids, we think about roid rage. Well, that's why teenage boys are pains in the butt, and that's why they get because they're just getting flooded with testosterone constantly. So again, is he going to back down against that bully who's trying to push him around at school? Not going to happen. He's not afraid of it. He's not afraid of it. Now, you could train for 1,000,000 years. You could put dozens of years of training in. But if you've never gone out there and had that under the lights experience, you're losing that fear of confrontation. Now, don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean you have to compete forever. It doesn't mean you have to do competitions every single weekend. It doesn't mean you have to fight in the UFC. But if you go out and you do a few jiu-jitsu tournaments, or if you're in Tiger Schulman's, you do a few of our kickboxing tournaments, your fear of confrontation will be so low. You'll be so comfortable with physical confrontation that you won't fear much of anything at all. You won't fear much of anyone at all. And more importantly, you'll have a real understanding of your own physical prowess. And that's why people who know how to defend themselves usually never have to. Because they know exactly who they are. They know exactly their level of physical prowess. I walk into a room, right? I know who the people I can get the better of is, and I know the people who I can't, right? I walk into the training room, I know exactly the same thing, because we understand who we are physically, because we get the reality pushed in our face over and over and over and over again, right? No one's going to check us who we're not intimidated of. It's just not going to happen. More importantly, we'll avoid. We're more agreeable people, those who know how to defend ourselves, because we know the physical realities of confrontation, and we know what it's worth and what it's not. So as a result, it's rare that someone who knows how to defend themselves ever has to, because the only person who's going to poke and provoke them is a weaker person who's not intimidating at all. And if it does get physical, we're not intimidated, right? It's why every child should be involved in martial arts. It's why every adult should be involved in martial arts. And it's why you should train it for a long time. And it's why you should eventually do at least 1 or 2 tournaments, if not more. Experience that feeling. See how it changes your life. Watch how it makes you better at martial arts. But more importantly, watch how it makes you a better person. Watch how it makes your kid a better person. Take this from experience. I've lived it, and now I'm raising it. Trust me, this is the kind of thing we should never miss out on. So that's all I have for you guys today. As always, you can reach me via email, senseileonelli@gmail.com. Find me on Twitter and Instagram at sensei_Leonelli. On Facebook, I'm Sensei James Leonelli. You can find my school online. We're at tsmasmithtown.com. On Facebook, we're at facebook.com/TigerSchulmanSmithtown. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at tsmma_Smithtown. You can find out more about the podcast on Instagram at Sensei's Weekly Mindset. Find out more about the Tiger Schulman's organization as a whole at tsk.com. You can go to my Linktree to find everywhere I'm on the internet, linktr.ee/Sensei Leonelli. There you can find everything for our sponsors. Sponsorship opportunities still available. Contact me any way that I gave you. You can find more about Tiger Schulman's. You can find more about Flex Fights. We have Flex Fights again this weekend. I will not be in attendance, unfortunately. I'll be away this weekend, but tune into the fights available on throwdownsports.com. Other than that, my friends, make sure that you guys leave a rate and review. Just helps. Subscribe. Get your new episodes every Wednesday. Most important thing you can do for me, though, guys, please share the podcast. It's the only form of advertising that I have. I very much appreciate it when I see you doing it. So, until next time, my friends, invest in yourselves. I'll see you guys on the mat.